alongside my broadcast partner Steve Kerr and Clark Kellogg. It's great to have you with us. And State Farm's starting lineups. These are the 10 players starting the game. And as we take a look here at Kevin Garnett, guys, what's your take?
Well, the biggest thing with Kevin Garnett is the impact he has on the game at the defensive end of the floor. He covers so much space. He's got those long arms. He's a wonderful communicator, kind of the quarterback of that defense. And he will shut down the player he's guarding on a nightly basis.
You know, it isn't just on defense that KG is a quiet influence. When he's on O, even if he's not scoring, he's drawing attention, creating space for his teammates, and then finding them for easy baskets. You just don't find post players like him very often. He's a once-in-a-generation kind of player.
Looking at the last game for the New York Knicks, it was a win against the Celtics in Boston. It was just a textbook performance. That game was all there. Once they got it going, it was full speed ahead.
Well, not too much went wrong for them in that one, especially offensively. I think it worked out pretty much just as they had planned.
Yeah, I thought it was an excellent game plan, and they carried it out very effectively. The kind of game that makes a coach proud.
Now, second chance points are going to be key. They've got to keep this team off the boards.
And, Steve, any slip-ups boxing out can really cost you there. Since moving to Atlanta in 1968 from St. Louis, the Hawks have been a steady presence in the postseason, Kevin. Still, that penultimate goal of an NBA title has eluded them.
Just 5 on the clock. Good. Kobe's got his second bucket of the night.
He doesn't need to fade away on that move. He can go straight up, make it an easier shot.
Harris kicks to Johnson. The shot, no good. Excellent D there from Garnett. With the Hawks in their playoff history, they've always seemed to be the good team that just was overpowered, it seems, Steve, in the end.
Yeah, they've never had that transcendent player. You know, the closest guy they had to that was probably Dominique Wilkins, but he was playing in the era when Bird and Magic and Jordan were out, but somebody finally got a shot to go.
You know, I was starting to get a little concerned for them. I mean, it hadn't been pretty to this point.
Now here's Kobe. Last game, an incredible scoring display for him. There's the feed to Smith. Back to Kobe. Hammers it home.
The defense caught dozing off that time.
Those open dunks, pretty high percentage.
Yeah, you're not going to miss many of those. I mean, this is really a poor defensive effort. Defense that looked completely out of sorts in that game, guys.
Yeah, they didn't come up against much resistance at all. I mean, they had success with pretty much whatever they tried.
Now here's Paul. He picked up 12 points in their last win against Boston.
And he was so good defensively, anticipating every pass. He had a ton of steals in that game. I tell you, he had all the time in the world to get that shot off. Josh Smith has that small forward's frame, but his strength and explosiveness make him more than a capable power forward. Sometimes it seems like he'd prefer to play small forward, but I think he's most effective around the basket using that explosive leaping ability and those long arms.
Doris Burke has an update for us. Doris?
Season, and he knows they are going to get a big dose of their front court from the get-go. He said the important thing is that we keep our composure. We know with Melo, Amari, and Chandler, they'll get their points, but we can't let it get in our heads. We just need to keep scoring. Indeed, they will, guys.
Thanks again, Doris. And Josh Smith has been fond of playing on the perimeter. Has looked to keep his weight down to enable Clark that versatility.
Well, there's nothing atypical about that, Kevin. Nowadays, a lot of big guys want to face up, and the game is such with the three-point line and athletic fours that can shoot it that you need to be able to do that at that position. I think his shooting stroke is what prevents starting the game 0 for 3. You know he was just desperately looking for that one to fall.
Kobe goes in. He passes to Smith. He dishes it to Paul. Dishes to Melo. Three-pointer. Rebound, Atlanta. Camby's got his third rebound tonight. This their first look at this year's New York squad.
And over the course of last season, they dropped the majority of their games when facing this team.
Johnson gets the bucket.
Excellent job carving out space under the glass to make that putback possible.
The Knicks leading by 7. And Kobe, here we go. And the Knicks getting another bucket right there. You know, going back to Steve's point, this series was not one of the highlights of the season last year.
Yeah, Kev, you wouldn't expect them to come out on the wrong end of that series, but it happened that way, and We'll see what happens going forward.
Now here is Harris. He had 10 points in the win against Brooklyn.
And what stood out to me in particular was his gorgeous playmaking out there. He was finding his teammates in great positions to score.
And the Knicks with possession here, following the three by Atlanta. Outside, Kobe puts up a three, and the shot is good. Kobe's got 15.
Boy, he's been good offensively tonight. I really like what I've seen.
Here's Morrow. Here's Camby, and he throws it down with one hand.
Step aside, step aside. We've got the big fella coming through.
That is a powerful brand of basketball right there.
Man, an amazing putback. You just love the effort from this guy.
Now here's Kobe. He's got 15. Out of bounds, Atlanta takes. Morrow's got his second basket of the game.
Well, you knew the run would come, and here it is. They're playing well now, trying to get back in this thing.
Yeah, pretty good comeback effort here. Rolling along nicely, and they've gotten themselves within striking distance now.
Well, you feel good for Larry Drew, who's in his third season as a head coach, because he spent 18 years as an assistant before he finally got his big break with the Hawks. In all, he's been with Atlanta since 2004, so he knows these players well.
Paul kicks to Smith. Back to Paul. Out to Smith. The three is launched. And a great assist by Paul as that one goes in. Paul's got 3 assists in the game. And Larry Drew, well liked by the players in his time as an assistant, probably made it a little bit easier for the ownership to make him the head coach as he replaces Mike Woodson.
Well, it's always easier to be the good cop, you know, when you're the assistant coach. All of a sudden you become the head coach and you need to be tougher. You need to discipline players a little bit. It can be harder to have those relationships with your players. It's always a fine balance, but Drew has done a nice job of establishing himself with this Hawks team.
Kobe Bryant again. Kobe's got 19 points.
Wow, he just keeps
Break. Smith the pass to Paul. He feeds it to Garnett. Back to Paul. Three-pointer. That's good. And it's a 10-point Knicks lead.
Guys that are willing to make the extra pass as well.
And how about the spacing that we saw from this team last year, Clark? The pieces they were able to add. And that's a pretty intriguing deal, really, for both teams.
And here is Teague, following the three-pointer by Carmelo Anthony. Here's Pachulia. So the whistle blows on the shot and 2 free throws.
Nick, so he could ultimately become that player they're looking for as far as a leader goes. Let's see how it plays out going forward.
Looking at who's out there now for the Hawks. Williams, he's checked in for Thomas. Morrow comes in for Kyle Korver. And it's Jenkins in for Deshaun Stevenson. And Anthony gets it to go.
They're really struggling defensively, giving up too many easy buckets.
And they've been on fire offensively as a result, Clark.
Kicks to Morrow. For 3. They get it back. Here's Jenkins. Dives for it. Out of bounds for Jeff Teague. Atlanta with the ball. They trail by 14.
Man, a nice job there defensively, just getting a hand up enough to bother the shot.
Yeah, that was very nice. Impressive. It made it a much more difficult shot.
Harris, right side. That drops, and it comes off an assist from Williams. And that's now 6 points for Devin Harris.
And Lewis Williams last season became the first bench player to lead his team in scoring since Del Curry, Steph's dad, who did it back in the 93-94 season for Charlotte. How about that accomplishment?
Poked away. Throws up the alley-oop. And it's Smith finishing it off.
Well, I'll tell you what, they are dialed in offensively, guys. I think they look really well prepared for this game.
And they've rode that early hot streak to a big lead here in the first.
And going back to Lewis Williams last season, the best he's played by far, Clark.
And Kevin, he was especially tough in the clutch, I thought. You look at his numbers down the stretch, and whether it was field goal percentage, getting to the line, he was at his best when the pressure was at its highest.
Kept alive. Harris, defended by Paul. Harris kicks to Williams. Back to Harris. Goes back up. And that one's good. Harris has got 8 points. 1:03 left to play here in the first. Kobe against Williams. Kobe goes in. Shot is blocked. And here we go with Morrow running it up the court. The Knicks pull it in. Smith's got his 5th rebound right now in the game.